To call the town board meeting to order again. So we have to do this again, I guess?
We
Yeah.
came out of exec session,
Right,
do we
all
need
right.
to do it again?
No,
We're right in.
Open your
Right.
meeting.
All right, so we don't need to do it again.
Okay.
All right, public comments, please.
You all set?
Yeah, he's on.
Yep.
Okay, thank you for this opportunity to update you on the Amenia Music Hall project, which began in December 2010. Back then, I met with Supervisor Wayne Uvrart to look at the auditorium and gym in what was still the new town hall at that point. My idea for repurposing them to create a music and entertainment venue was met with enthusiasm and has been since then as well. Since he became supervisor, Bill Flood has been very supportive as well, and he and Darlene Reamer, the town architect, have been very encouraging all along the way. I was asked to put my idea in writing for review by the board. In my proposal of December 19th, 2010, I described what sort of music and entertainment I envisioned presenting and how I would go about it. I outlined my responsibilities in the town role as well. Darlene informed me that there needed to be some upgrading of infrastructure before the hall could be used for performances. November 2011, to keep the ball rolling, I submitted a draft letter of agreement for using the spaces. By November 2012, the town had developed a license agreement with some of the same elements of my draft. When I learned that the work was complete enough to stage a show, last month I wrote an article for the Hometowner describing my vision and plan that some of you may have seen. I announced that in March I would plan the first event date, which is March 30th. It would be a two-part event, which begins in the auditorium with acoustic, unplugged acts, musical acts on the stage from 7 to 9. That would be followed by plugged-in bands performing in the gym from 9 to midnight. The admission is $20, the profit from which would be donated to the town's nonprofit organization. As I understand, the town can't receive funds from donations directly. It needs to go to a...
That's not true.
That's not true?
The town can receive funds directly.
Oh, okay, well,
The advantage of using a non-for-profit is so that the donor gets a tax deduction.
oh, okay, so that would be a good idea in that case.
But it's entirely up to you, but
Well, I want to encourage people to not only pay the admission, which would be donated, but also I want to offer specific items that people could purchase or donate money to purchase for the hall. For instance, a spotlight, grand piano, lighting equipment, sound equipment, like that. The intention of this is to continually upgrade the infrastructure of the hall and the gym through public support by helping these events. And eventually the town would have hopefully a more economically viable venue that you could, rent to other people. I hope to attract an audience ranging from high school age to senior citizens. That's why I wanted to I've included like bluegrass music for this first performance, flamenco, guitar, in addition to the plugged-in bands later in the evening in the gym. I plan to serve local foods in the form of snacks and beverages, and I think that we have a lot of great products around here that people obviously enjoy at the farmers market, and that some of these same foods could be served at this concert. Although the sale of wine and beer has been on the agenda since the outset of the project, all along that's been discussed, it's my understanding that there was a move not to allow it, so I wanted to address that. I recently, as late as today, found out that I still could obtain a beer and wine license through an expediter if that was needed. And I wanted to see what the town's position was on that. I heard through Bill that it was being disallowed. If that's the case, I'd like to discuss it.
I think part of this was a misunderstanding of what the acts would actually be. So is this more high school? What's the age cutoff? High school age and up?
Well, I
Is
think that younger than 14 would be inappropriate for an event like this.
And it's going to be, sorry, and one other question because it's related.
Please.
And the entertainers, they're mixed ages or adult?
Some of the bands have performed as part of the West Say project. In fact, 4 of the bands come from there, and they described, and I've seen their performances and their audiences, and they describe their audiences being high school age up through adults. And I imagine that the unplugged would be appropriate for anybody, but would also be, you know, the kind of music that would perhaps adults would be more interested in than the unplugged. Although, you know, it depends on the adult. So I see it as a festival, a concert, a town hall kind of event, not a nightclub, not a cabaret, but a way for people to hear music. And the overall intention, my overall intention, is to create, help make Amenia a destination. People who come here on a Saturday night, go to an event, spend money in the town at the restaurants, maybe come in the afternoon in advance, spend money in the stores, make it a place that you stop and go to for a show rather than drive through. And I think that the first time I saw the hall here, I said, I thought that this would be a very good, especially acoustic, venue because of the stage and just the way it's set up. I've had a couple of people play on the stage already just as a test, and they're excited about it. In fact, everybody I've talked to, the musicians around here, they're all excited about having a place to perform, a showcase, a venue where many different kinds of people would be able to see them. We're right in between 2 music venues, Infinity Hall, Ridgefield Playhouse, and Bearsville Cafe in Woodstock. We're right in the middle, and I think that a lot of people, rather than traveling to those other places and spending money there, they'd come to our town. And I think that's one of the objectives here, is to bring commercial vitality to the town by making use of a building that the public owns here. And I felt that, you know, given the positive support that everybody seemed to have towards this idea, that it was time to have the concert, because I now understand that although there's still plenty of work to be done, I mean, frankly, it's not really presentable as a commercial space if you were going to start a theater here. I think that it's below, you know, it's below standard for that. But as a place to have a benefit, to fix the place up, I think that it would be very viable for that. And then it's, you know, the help that's needed is obvious. And I don't see this as a one-time shot. I would like to talk about April 30th. I'd like to make this an ongoing event. And, you know, we need to adjust and learn from each event on what the best way to do it would be. But I think that there's an audience. There are definitely musicians. I really didn't want to formalize this till I was sure I had a show to put on, but I definitely have enough acts now. And I hope that, you know, we can make it more of a venue that would be appropriate for adults and kids, teenagers, not little children. I don't think that's appropriate. But they're not going to be coming out at 7 o'clock at night necessarily to.
Yeah, my concern when we discussed this and said we didn't think alcohol would be appropriate was it sounded like this was going to be a more youth-oriented event. If that's the case and it's more mixed and it's going to be later, I mean, I don't. What does our insurance provider say about?
He said no alcohol. He said he didn't think that we should sell alcohol at the event because of liability issues. The other thing I had a question about, I was looking at the license agreement that we were given for you to offer this, which, by the way, we're absolutely delighted that you want to come here and offer wonderful things in our auditorium.
Well, let's keep in
It
mind that I'm
also
a resident.
said, you know, it
so-
also said, in the original license agreement, it said food and non-alcoholic beverages.
Well, I submitted a letter of agreement initially, which a year later, the license agreement that Bill, I understand, worked on. And
That's the one for me.
Yeah, that.
we talking about
I
the same
prepared
one,
that.
November 2012?
I don't have a date on it.
Yep.
But it does say non-alcoholic, so I think that's when we first started considering, you know, having programs and concerts offered in the auditorium. It was as, with the beverages as non-alcoholic.
Does Millbrook have, they have shows there?
On the lawn, in
And
the
they have
shell,
alcohol?
and
Right.
it's a bring your own.
Bring your own.
Yep, so everyone usually brings their coolers and
Right,
it's
like we did with
wine
the
and cheese,
Sundowner
just like the
thing, right?
Sundowner, wine,
Right.
cheese.
Right.
But they don't
They're-
sell it on the
They're not
premises.
selling it on the property.
Yeah, that's the difference.
Peter,
Are
in
we
your-
looking at the same agreement?
No, and we might not be looking at the same agreement, but
Are you looking at the
The-
license agreement?
yes, I was.
Well,
Well, you can have alcohol here. That's allowed by law, right?
It's correct.
It's just a matter of having the liability insurance that covers it if, God forbid, something happens.
Correct. It's, believe it or not, legal to have alcohol on town property. Everything I've read is not advisable, but it's legal. And, but the town should, and it sounds like you have, discuss this with your insurance carrier. If your insurance carrier has issues with it, then, yeah, I mean, you need to make sure that the town is gonna be protected. If the insurance carrier has problems, that's an issue. Aside from the legal issue of whether you can have it or not.
well, can I suggest as an alternative approach that, similar to the way a wine is offered in the farmer's market for free, complimentary, that part of the ticket could be a complimentary, 4 ounces of wine or a wine tasting, which would not be for sale, does that change the liability?
You gotta be careful.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
No.
that may still be considered, the liquor authority may still consider that for sale. If you're, even though you're hiding it in a ticket price, if that includes, wine or beer, I think
What
that
if
could
it
be
wasn't
considered.
included and it was just complimentary?
You get into some
Just having it
factual
there.
issues there. It's, the problem with alcohol is obviously somebody gets into an accident, there's potential liability. If you're, if this is an event that's gonna be attended by people over and under 21, there's gotta be some monitoring there, which I'm
Well,
assuming the town board is not
I'd like to
gonna be
address
there
that.
to do that, so.
I'd like to address that.
Yeah.
The procedure that I had in mind was, first of all, you could only get 2 4-ounce wine drinks or 2 6-ounce beers. You would buy carnival tickets, and the carnival tickets would be collected at near the area where the wine and beer is being distributed. The beer would be poured from bottles into plastic cups, bottles thrown in the bin. The wine would be poured into small plastic cups. So basically, the most you could have is 2 drinks, because you only get two tickets, 2 paper tickets. There's no cash going on here. You buy the tickets separately. I've seen this done in other places. I didn't come up with this idea. So it's really a matter of an accommodation and making the least amount available, and yet bringing it more into a more sophisticated realm as opposed to a high school dance, which, that's not exactly what I had in mind. However, it's about the music and not about the alcohol. So it's discouraging that, I brought it up right at the outset, and it's not allowed now. However, I still think it's a good idea. And the kind of a beverage service that I'm talking about is the most mild-mannered possible. I don't think that there's a chance of anybody, whether they, become drunk easily and trip and fall on the way out. I think that liability happens anytime you have the public in your facility. And I don't think in this case that the alcohol would contribute to people, stumbling into a wall or, hurting themselves. So it's a minor consideration. And so, as such, I don't think that it doesn't make me want to not do this, certainly, because I think it really is about the music and the venue and the showcase. So I think that if you could be reassured by the fact that it would be the most mild of servings of that, that maybe you would reconsider. And, I'm familiar with insurances, and I've had to insure my own productions, which involve people with lights and all kinds of things that you can trip on and have fall on you. And insurance is always a consideration, but there's a reasonable expectation that everything is not so critical that people are going to get drunk on 2 4-ounce glasses of wine and act out. So if that's the concern, then I don't think that's going to happen. But you're the board, so.
How do you prevent somebody from going back and buying 2 more tickets?
You can't buy the tickets. You get them with your.
So everybody gets these tickets, but
gets
what
2
if I
tickets.
don't want my tickets and somebody else is taking?
Well, I
and
think
collects
that
6?
just like anything else, that if people want to be bad and collect a bunch of tickets and drink a lot of wine, however, the people selling it are going to notice the same person. This isn't a huge crowd that we're talking about here.
How many would we be thinking of?
Well, you got 300 people for your Christmas celebration. I would hope to do as well as that. And that was well promoted, and I intend to promote this very well too. So there's two things to consider there. And we've all been to these kinds of events where you get 2 tickets. I assume that you've been to that kind of thing. You go and you get your 2 glasses of wine. If you keep coming back with a lot of tickets, you noticed. It's not that hard to monitor.
Peter, based on your experience, how much does this affect us trying to use our auditorium as a performance venue if we're not going to allow alcohol at all on town property?
I think it changes the character of it. I don't think it's as festive. I don't think that it's as much of. I think that it doesn't encourage the adults as much as it encourages the kids. And we're talking about teenagers, not little children. Will it stop people from coming? I don't think that will, but I don't think it will be the same kind of festive feeling. I don't think it's critical. Maybe I should say that it is, but I don't think so, honestly. I think it's really more about the music. And that if we focus on that, this becomes a minor issue. It's become a very big issue, obviously. But, and I understand why. It's not, unclear to me why. But I think that it's a minor issue. And that if you did allow it in the form that I'm talking about, it'll be more of a festive event. I think it puts people in a better mood, at least the adults. And, everybody would have to be stamped and carded. That's part of the deal. You have to have your,
The reason I ask, my point of view is, if we're trying to market that space and generate some revenue that can come back to the town, I want it. While I don't want to endanger anyone, the whole point of this is to try to make some money for the town. So that's. I'm not saying this specific event. I'm saying in the future, and that's why I'm. If we're not going to allow alcohol and it's going to kill us using it as a performance venue that really could generate any significant fees in the future, is there any point?
Well, certainly for corporate events, weddings, etc. I don't know if you want to get married on a stage like that, but for corporate events, it would certainly put a dent in it. Not my event necessarily, but I think that almost all corporate events have some kind of service. You go to the Museum of Modern Art or all kinds of corporate events and social events for organizations. In a mild. I went to an event held by the Quakers in New York, and that was exactly what they did. You got 4 ounces of wine, and it was, it made it a little bit more festive. And I think also these are local products. I'm not talking about, you know, something, I mean, Cascade Mountain is right up the block here. They sell wine. That's a local product. I think we could encourage them, you know, encourage local products. I know, is there a local beer? Is there anybody make beer around here?
Not really. In my kitchen.
But, you know, I think that definitely, you bring up a good point. If you plan to go forward and use it as a venue for different kinds of meetings and conferences and things like that, if you have a precedent and you have rules concerning that and how you wish to do it, at least you have a position that you can present to people, this is how we do it, and hope you can fit in. Most corporate events don't, you know, try and control in some way what people are imbibe. And I don't ever see this becoming a nightclub. It's just not. It's not the right atmosphere. And nor would I want that necessarily. But I think it would make it more of a festive adult. You know, there may be times when we have concerts that are strictly for kids and then you don't serve anything. But I want to attract, you know, senior citizens like myself. And yeah, I mean, you know, nobody's going to force it on you.
Let's just keep it down here.
Now, also, you can use your beverage ticket for non-alcoholic beverages too. You could buy a soda with it. You could buy a cup of coffee. I think coffee's going to sell really well too. So I don't know if that balances the situation, but and I think that we're creating something here. It's not like I walked in and said I want to do another event just like all the 20 others that you did here. This is, you know, there is a learning curve, let's put it that way, and that I think we have a manageable situation if we approach it, you know, intelligently and not, you know, have the wrong expectations. So.
Who would actually manage the food? You know, is that something you would hire these people, or would we be expected to?
No, you don't
run
do
the
anything.
Food?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, the idea has always been that I bring in the acts, I arrange for the promotion, I do a lot of it. What I don't do is I understand that the town will provide a constable, an armed uniformed constable,
That's all.
which makes me feel better.
Yeah.
And it's detailed in the contract what the responsibilities are. And right from the beginning, we discussed what's the responsibility. What does the town get out of this? What are you going to do? What am I going to do? So that we have a clear picture of what we're
So are you
talking.
going to hire a professional?
I actually have some volunteers, and especially since we're not talking about a huge operation. You know, I'm talking about things, sandwiches that are wrapped. You know.
Okay.
I'm not talking about serving, you know, chafing dishes and things like. I'm very realistic. I want to not overreach and plan some vast event that can't be done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a matter. You know, having been to many events over the years, I know how much trouble it is to make something. Well, for instance, you know, hot food. There's no hot food. That's why I said snacks.
Mm-hmm.
Snacks are things that are wrapped. You know. Finger food, that kind of thing. And also that I would like to work, in fact, I wrote to the farmers market and suggested that maybe we could collaborate and that, you know, all the things that you sell there, some of those things would be really great for this. And that's a way of promoting them too. I mean, I want to promote things that are happening in the town. Hopefully there would be sponsorship from some of the local businesses. And, you know, maybe get a coupon that gets you a free appetizer, you know, somewhere nearby here, increase the commerce. So I think that's, I pretty much,
What's
sorry.
the date for this concert again, Peter?
it's March 30th. There's an ad in the Amenia Hometowner, I think, that says that. I have all the bands lined up. The acoustic set is flamenco, a vocal stylist, and a bluegrass band, a 5-piece bluegrass band, which I think everybody would like. They sound really good. And the bands in the gym are electronic, their original music, which I find very interesting. And my experience with hearing them was I heard them down at the Lantern, and at first it was like, I can't stand it. And I listened more carefully, and I realized that they were performing pretty sophisticated music, if you listen. So I got to the feeling that it would also be a way for people to hear that music in that kind of a venue, and maybe broaden their perspective a little bit. So, and they have an audience, they have a following, all these bands have followings. So, and have performed in the area.
I can kind of, I don't know that much about putting these things on, but is there any way to have the 7 to 9 be a non-alcoholic, kids, bring your kids, and then change it over at 9 to 12? Is, whether it's not a long period of time?
The problem is the insurance company doesn't want alcohol there at all.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, he didn't say it all. He said you could do it.
Well, I'm
It just
guessing if
didn't-
he has, you carry the insurance. I know it's expensive to carry insurance for one night to do alcohol. I mean, if there's an extra rider that you do
Well,
for that particular instance.
Are we talking about me having the town as additionally insured on my policy, or is the town?
I think you have to have a separate policy. We did this before, and it costs about $1,100 for one night have alcohol for an event. It's an expense,
And what if you're? Oh,
Here?
and that was
not
the
here. It was
insurance.
at a private venue like that, allowing, somebody said, sure, you can have a party, but I'm not taking responsibility for alcohol being served on our premises, so you go out and buy your own insurance. So we coughed it up. We said it's an important thing, and it was a fundraiser, so we didn't know if we could cover it, but we did it for $1,100 out of J. Diedrich provided it to us. Diedrich Insurance. So I know that you can cover yourself, and I would not do this unless we had that kind of insurance. Is my feeling is that this, that's not what we're in business to do here. Somebody else would have to take that liability.
What's the admission?
$20. You have 300. You have 240 seats, and with standing, you have a 500 person occupancy room there, which makes it a viable music venue. Infinity Hall is 350 seats, and Darlene, I don't know if she's here yet, but in the future you could put a mezzanine in there and have another 100 seats. So you can generate some income here, and that money is going to go to fix up the hall. So there's nothing. It's not that there's no quid pro quo for the risk that you are anticipating. Now, in one of our discussions, the town already has insurance, and I don't know what it costs to additionally insure this event. Is that the case?
Well, when you get
That's what I
alcohol,
was.
we're going to have
That's
to
what I
pay
was.
some more money to Byron.
I was just going to say that we're going to have to
Someone
talk to the
else?
insurance agency tomorrow and see what Byron, and see what he says
Yeah.
it would be for an extra rider.
Right. For a one-time thing, or whatever but I don't know, maybe he has something else that he can beef up our insurance to the level that he would be comfortable and we would be comfortable. He didn't offer that sort of thing, Victoria, if you spoke to him.
No, he just had reservations about that, about us offering alcoholic beverages here.
But we've
Does it
had-
increase
we've had-
the coverage cost?
What's that?
Does it increase the coverage cost specifically, or does he just have reservations?
He's got reservations with it, that's all.
I can call him tomorrow and
Sure.
let you know what he can tell me about the kind of insurance that I have had some experience with.
I don't think,
They
That
just
we would
buy
have to
additional.
purchase?
no.
Somebody's got to pay for it. Somebody would have to pay.
Well,
Can
my
we just
question
not
is,
offer it? Wouldn't that be the easiest?
does the town's policy, would it cost more for the town, current policy, to cover? So we don't know that,
We don't know that.
rather than buying it from an outside source. Because usually the larger the entity, the cheaper the insurance. I've personally taken insurance for shoots, which is what I do for a living, and it's in the range for that. But we're talking about something that's much more complicated with a lot more risk, and
Well, are you here tomorrow? Or are you gonna be
Yeah.
in the city?
I'm here.
Then, can you both call Byron and talk to her?
Sure. What time are you available?
I'm available all day for this.
Okay.
Let's say 11
I
o'clock.
think the
11
concert's a
o'clock
great
is fine.
idea. We may not have alcohol for this one, but we'll see where we are with it down the
Well,
road.
we'll find out
Okay,
if
well,
there are any other
That's,
options that would
we have
make
to
it.
figure out what our options are between the attorneys and the lawyer and the insurance people. We'll have to figure this thing out.
well, I want
did
your
have
assurance
one-
that I can move forward. I mean,
We
I've
did
already.
have one concert here already that we had alcohol that they brought their own. So we did have that happen. So,
But we didn't
we have to
s- but it
settle this
wasn't
immediately,
sold.
though.
Well, it was on your grounds, and people
it's on
brought
the
in
grounds,
beer.
Right.
It was on your grounds, people brought in beer, and people abused it. So I don't think there was any control in that situation.
Correct.
So here, there'd be a lot more control.
There's more control here.
That was a great show.
Sure.
I
It was a
thought
lot of fun.
that worked out.
People
pretty
loved
well.
it. We'd love to do it again.
You have an audience here. I'm sure of it. Everybody I've spoken to is in favor of this. I
Right.
mean, maybe I'm talking to just the right people, but Amenia could be a destination for music on a regular basis, and that could change the whole character of the town. Alcohol is a consideration, and we're not a dry town, certainly, but,
All right, let's see if we can work this out in the next day or two.
okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks,
11
Peter.
o'clock, I'll give you a call.
Very good, thank you.
Christine, you want to do your report? Is that what you want to do now? Yeah, let's do your report. Christine has to leave, so we're just going to make a few adjustments here.
I just want to give you an update on a few things, if you don't mind. The Weebutuck High School will be using our fields not only for games, but practices too. And they will be starting around March 11th. They'll be about 2:30 to about 5:45 or so. They'll have a bus that will take them back up to the high school so they can get the 5 o'clock bus at that time. All the paperwork has been done. I believe Byron's got the insurance that he needs for that, so that's all taken care of. Just to also remind you, baseball signups will be here March 16th and the 23rd from 9 a.m. till 12. That's, the Farm League baseball, softball, and Little Leagues for kids 3 to 12. $25 for residents and $40 non-residents. Cheerleading. Cheerleading went to, what was that called?
John Jay High School.
Went to John Jay High School on February 23rd. They had a great time. They just showed, they didn't compete, but they showed and they saw what it was all about. The little girls, they were so cute in their little, I got to see some of the performances that they did in their little outfits. All the parents are very happy with this program. It is just, you have to see it. So I'm going to tell you on March 8th at 6 o'clock here, they're having a friends and family night. They're going to do their routine. They're going to have some medals. The kids, cake and stuff too. They did a great job.
At what time?
At 6 o'clock. I'm going to be here, so to watch the girls. They're looking forward to doing like a gymnastics. Katrina Strasso is the leader of this. She's done a great job with the girls. So they're looking into doing like a gymnastics program, which would actually be more towards cheer. But she said she would take children that are 4 years and up, because I've had a few people in the community come to me and ask me about a gymnastics program for like 4-year-olds and up. So I thought this would be awesome if she would do this. She's looking into like a 10-week program, but she is looking into it. Won't have it all together yet, but that's a good sign.
We
you
used
know?
to offer that.
Yep.
Someone was here before and offered a gymnastic for, I think it was pre-K.
Yeah, well, that's what I have parents coming to me now asking, and I don't.
Yeah,
have
they used to
girls,
offer it
so
here.
If anybody out there is willing to even help start something up, let's give us a call. We really could start doing this. I even had some parents ask me about dance, for the little kids, the younger ones, like the 4-year-olds. That would be great too if we can get something like that. They just give us a call, let us know, let's start something up. Another thing that I've just started up is what I call a warm-up clinic. It's for pitchers, catchers, actually anybody who's getting ready for their arms for baseball season. I even offered it to girls if they want to come for softball. I have a gentleman by the name of Mr. John Lamb who comes. who's been, teaching the boys, watching them, how they're doing. The first night we did it was actually February 22nd. It was at 4:30 to 6. I had 8 kids show up, 8 boys, and they had a wonderful time. Tonight, we had a program tonight. There'll also be tomorrow night, too. And I had 10 kids tonight. There will be more tomorrow. As the school play will come to an end over this weekend, I'll have more kids even joining in then, too. So tonight, what we did is Mr. Lamb gave me a form, and he wanted indoor pitching mound done. So I asked DJ Riley to help me, and he made this indoor pitching mound, and the kids they can get the feeling of what it feels like what they need. For outside, you can have the mounds, and they need to know what it's like to pitch when you're going down to get the ball to the catcher, and it worked great. We do have to get one more part for that. But as you know, right now it is actually in the kitchen part because this thing must weigh way too much. It took 5 guys, big guys, to move it out of the area. So it's heavy. So that will be one of our items too. I have to get that, covered and stuff. So the next dates that I do have, and this is for grades 7 to 12, will be Fridays will be March 1st, the 15th, and the 22nd from 4:30 to 6. And then Wednesdays, we'll do it before Zumba, March 6th, 13th, 20th, and 27th from 4:15 to 5:45. We'll be out of here so Zumba can come in and do what they need to do. So I just want to, tell you that they're all enjoying that too. Youth basketball has come to an end, and they all had a great time. Chip Watt did a great job, and John Zenz, who helped also the athletic director up from Weewatuck. All the parents did a great job, and I want to thank all the volunteers, actually, they have for coaching, too. Without them, we wouldn't have a good program going on top of that. This Friday night, which will be my last movie night until November, is We Bought a Zoo. Doors open at 6. Movie starts at 6:30. Bring your own drink. Popcorn will be here. If you want to come, we'll be doing that. You can come and come a little early. You can see the kids do their pitching practice. I mean, these guys just love it. We have our Easter egg March 30th at 10 o'clock here. Honor Society will be helping from Weewatuck High School, along with 2 Boy Scouts that need to be volunteer hours for one of their badges. And I think that is it right at the moment. Any questions?
No, doing a great job.
I told them they could do it in here because the table's so nice and big, and
To
is that
what?
right? The Easter egg stuffing tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
Sure.
I can close it up after they're done, and John Culligan's gonna open it up for them.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine.
Back to public comment.
Yep, any other public comment?
Cheryl Morse, Town of Amenia, resident. I have a couple of things that have come to my attention. One was I've had several phone calls from people wondering about an investigation that either might be being conducted or closed about a personnel file that was missing here at the town hall. I was told it was particularly the bookkeeper's personnel file. So I find it a little worrisome that a personnel file was missing and the state police were called in to investigate, particularly because I understand the Dutchess County Civil Service has been looking at her employment payroll issues. And it just seems kind of weird and convenient that it would disappear at this time. Also, I've had some reports from people that are questioning an issue about giving the town water department over to Dutchess County to administer. So I'd kind of like to know a little bit about that, if that's being considered. I have some concerns because you give bigger government access to your resources, you lose control of them, and water is on the cutting edge of becoming a very valuable resource, particularly for the town. that would be one resource I wouldn't think that a town would want to give up, particularly what's going on out west, where water's federally regulated and it's so expensive. I'd like to see those issues addressed so that we have a clear understanding of what's going on, so that there's not rumor, innuendo, untruths, and gossip being spread around. So, if you could let us know something about that, it would be nice to know. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yeah. Town, highway report, Stan's not gonna be here tonight, town clerk.
Sure. Good evening. The town clerk's office has collected $3,403,000, $3,403,000 and some change, for a percentage of 81%. The town has been satisfied, and at this time, we are paying off the county. So right now, the town clerk's office is extremely busy. Myself and Patty will be attending 2 classes coming up. The first one is going to be this Tuesday, and we were going to be closing the office until approximately 10:30. We are having a phone training with BAS going over the tax program. And I will also be closing the office on March 18th. Patty and I are attending a class offered by the New York State Court Clerks Association. It's a class held by the State Comptroller's Office in Albany. So we're going to take advantage of that upcoming class. The town clerk's office is in receipt of the New York State Firearms License Request for Public Records exemption forms. So if any individual who currently owns a pistol or is an applicant for firearms and would like to have the opt-out form, you're welcome to come and see Patty or myself. And I'd also like to remind all of the planning board members or ZBA members that may be watching that there's an upcoming class on March 26th. I know planning is required to take some classes, and there is a class being offered at the Dutchess County Farm and Home Center.
What's the title?
This is Spring 2013 Learn and Earn courses, Planning Board and Subdivision Overviews.
Okay.
I know they have to get their credits, so I just want to make sure the board knows that this is a class that's offered. That's it.
Water department?
All right, for January, we had, it showed a little bit higher usage. That was due to well flushing of well 1, continued well flushing of well 1. We did sample well 1 again. As per the health department, they wanted to sample it raw. We sampled it with chlorine. Of course, had no hits. We wanted to sample it with raw. Had no hits also, no bacteria hits. We're golden. So that well is in service. No issues with that well so far. When we did bring it back online, just so people are aware, there was a service charge that we had to go through with, I called in Mid-Hudson Pump, which did the fracking for us. The well, it ran for a few days, and then we had a problem again. One of the wires actually came loose. Those wires were the original wires that were in there since that well pump motor had been installed. So that was, I believe, I want to say 2007. So those wires, one of the wires actually broke. So we had to replace it. And in order to do that, you have to pull the pump and motor back out. Just unfortunate for us.
Which pump was that?
Well 1.
That's over here?
That's the one over here, correct.
I thought we did that when we put the.
We did. That's just to justify that cost.
All right.
That's what I'm explaining. So then that was put back into service. Again, had no repeated issues. Through the meters that have been repaired to date, we've repaired, as of yesterday, repaired 12. I have 11 on this sheet. Yesterday we did another one. We have 2 more calls that came back to us that we'll be repairing. So out of the 17 to date, then over the next 2 weeks, we'll have a total of 13 repaired out of the 17. So there's still 4 out there that have not called us back. Again, those bills have been sent out, and the reason why a lot of these people have called back this time is we left the bills for what they actually read. And so they were very high rates that went out. So in order to correct the bills and get the rates,
That's why I had them send them out to get it done. That's
Set-
why they call.
they called us back and we got their attention, so that's good. If
It
you
also, our system, our reading system, it screws up the system if you don't, if you've been rolling them over. So it does screw up the way that we bill. So we sent them out owing whatever they owed as far as the meters were, whatever had to be is what was done, and that's why they're calling. So that's worked out very well.
So, one thing that, how we're estimating these meters so they catch back up, obviously they're gonna start back at 0, if necessary, if I had to replace the meter. We went on historical data, which we've done in the past, and billed them what the usage was this time last year, just to be fair. I can't assess how much or how little they have used, but at least to be consistent, we had to give an estimate, and we just estimated, like any utility would do, historical data. So we also got approval, I don't know if you saw that bill today from Lazzaroni. The DEC finally approved everything for Lavelle Road. That all that got approved to get finished. So I haven't looked at it again. I had him send me the data, all the maps and everything that were approved to figure out what has to be done. Then I guess it'll be up to the town if you guys want to bid it out. Wellhead assessment program like I said, has been started by New York Rural Water. I gave them all the historical data for the wells here in town, since everything that I could find going way back when they were installed, and wells that have come out, and all engineering studies that have been done over the last 20 years.
What was NYRW?
New York Rural Water. They're going to do the wellhead assessment program for us. That is no charge. It's FDA funded. So might as well jump on it while we can. They'll tell us recommendations to secure our well sites, or if we have any hazards for contamination. They'll tell us that, and then we can do things accordingly if we need to. What else was there? Items that were purchased this month that we just got approvals on. 2 chlorinator pumps. They will be backups. The backups that we've had are in service now. These are going to be sitting on the shelf waiting for failures. We should always have backups available to us. It's mandatory from the Department of Health. And then muric acid we ran out of after a year's supply of it. We use that muriatic acid to clean the chlorinators and injectors to make sure that we're disinfecting the water.
What's this estimated cost for engineering system evaluation?
An engineering system evaluation was requested from the Water Committee, which we've had it done before. And they were requesting it to have it done on our distribution system, looking for any potential weak spots. And once that is done, then if we ever came across any grant money, which again, there is none out there right now, other than the only hope that we'd ever have grant-wise would be the community block grants right now for water systems. The only things out there right now are for failing or contaminated water. But with this engineering study, it would tell us our potential weak spots and areas for upgrades or areas for improvements.
So what's the company that gave you?
Lazzaroni would be Morrison Associates.
Morris Associates?
It's just a ballpark. It's not a hard number.
The question I have is, well, this bid thing, there's no actual bid requirement that you've sent, that the Water Commission has sent?
Absolutely not. We're just looking at the ballpark to see if we have funding for it.
All right.
That's all I wanted to do at this point. We haven't asked for anything formally. We just wanted to get a ballpark number to present to the board to say
So basically you asked for like an estimate?
an estimate that how much would it cost if we were doing something like this, to see if it's even in our budget. And if it is in our budget, then we would like to go ahead and...
Now, by distribution system, what exactly are you
Water
going to be
lines.
looking at? Just the lines?
All the water mains and such, we know, I mean, I do have maps. We know what was replaced previously. We know our aging system that we have out here, the cast iron mains, and a few galvanized lines that we have out there left.
But the maps are incomplete.
The maps of the distribution system main are complete. The service lines we're locating those as we have been doing.
As you go along.
Right, right. The mains, we know what the material is, we know the size of the mains. Unfortunately, probably about 40% of the system is still cast iron or galvanized. I know over the years, Stanley and Gary have done upgrades throughout the years. There's ductile iron that was put in down 44 here up to the stoplight. All the plastic mains that were put in around Lake Amenia and down 22. The stuff that's left is on this side of town, so the stoplight down, going up the hill, up into the town. That's all cast iron, pretty much. It's a few sections of plastic, but most of it's cast iron, and then galvanized service lines still. So that's what we have. That's what that's what the committee recommended. So then we could schedule accordingly if we had any funding that came available. We had something with a PE stamp to hand and submit. Cross-contamination program, I had New York Rural Water do an assessment of the system with myself, and that was complete, and their recommendations were the same. John Fenton has sent a letter out to businesses that we've discussed that have been potential hazards. So far, I've received quite a few calls, which has been very good, and really no resistance about putting things in. Again, I'm still looking for the town to approve this and the town to have something on record, so when the health department comes for our inspection, we have something on record. Talking to the health department, two things came out. One, and as we all know, the interpretation of the backflow prevention is very loose, but it's very clear that we must protect our water supply. It's very clear that it's up to the operator is to justify the prevention or justify the hazards. And I have done that, and I've done that also with New York Rural Water as a third independent party who has no stake in the game. Again, it's nothing out of my pocket. I'm not asking, I'm not making any money. I'm protecting our water supply. As a water operator, I'm licensed to do that. That's what you pay me for. You pay me to protect your water supply. And I'm telling you, there are some hazards out there, potential hazards, that we have listed. So far, we've had no resistance. But I would like something formalized, documented from the town, that the inspections continue to go forward. The inspections to be done by a certified backflow inspector, to be filed with the town, filed with the state, covers everybody's butts, protects our water supply. Your water supply is very precious. It's been here for a long time. It's in good shape. We have no failures, no violations. It's protected.
So what do we need to do?
Basically, a program needs to be put in place, which we submitted. Needs to be put in place that the places that have been identified follow the procedures of making sure they're protecting the water supply by having their...
It's a gray area, though. It's pretty gray. I've talked to Pete Sotero about it. I would like to I'm going to bring Pete in here also to talk about it, because I think, like a water softener doesn't need one. There's other things that if it's like a chemical lab, something like that, then you need one. He said a restaurant doesn't even need one.
The restaurant does need them.
Well, they do and they don't. He said
So why wouldn't they?
It could be issues that you don't need them. That's the thing I want to make sure that we're doing right. And I'll have Pete take a look at this thing and see where we are with this.
Okay.
Where is the criteria that states?
Section 5.1-31 on Part 5. And again, it will tell you, and like Bill stated, it's kind of loose, but it's pretty clear on there about protecting the water supply. And where and I have a whole series of pictures that I've taken. I've taken when I went around to do these inspections to show you potential hazards. Potential hazards in restaurants could be as simple as a hose that they're using to wash off dishes with left in a sink, and it could back siphon in. There's ways to prevent that. And you can have air gaps, you can have devices in there that prevent backflow from siphoning back into the water system.
So why can't you do that? I mean, why can't, if you know where this potential exists, why can't you, why do you need something from the town to authorize
It's
you?
not my water system. It has nothing to authorize me. It's protecting you, that if they do not follow these guidelines, that you will shut their water off to protect your water supply. and
Well,
they will
doesn't
pay a
the health
penalty.
department do a lot of this stuff with, I know they made me do the restaurant.
They, I talked to the health
PE
department.
The PE made me do it.
Yeah, and the health
But
department
we
does
had to
make
do
me
it for the sprinkler system also.
Absolutely, but it's up to me as it's quote from the health department, as the water operator, I will know the potential hazards, and I will be the one that's being responsible, and I could lose my license for this by not protecting your water supply.
So did the other delis and stuff that opened, are they current? Are they up to speed?
Well, that's one thing I want to put. I want to put together a date where everybody has to be up to speed. All these pictures show all those places you've mentioned, and then I went through commercially to look for potential hazards. So I would like,
So what do we need to do,
I think it
Marco?
sounds like we write the letter to the homeowner, or to the business.
to the businesses,
And ask them to comply,
Yeah.
to produce certification that they've had
Correct.
this licensed
Correct.
backflow
correct.
inspector look at
Right,
it.
to have the inspection done, again, it would be filed with the state, be filed with the town. What I would suggest to the town is that if they don't follow the guidelines, that water would be shut off, and there would be a penalty assessed with that, and water to be turned back on, there would be a turn-on fee.
And what's the fee for the inspection?
It can vary, it depends who they want to do it. If
They just hire somebody, they have to produce
they
the
would,
documentation
I don't even want
that
to be
they've
part of
done.
it, I'm just telling you that,
That's what we need.
yeah, they can use whoever they want to inspect, as long as they're certified backflow inspector, that's it. And then once that is done, the paperwork for the annual inspection would go on file with the water department, and go with the code enforcer, and it will also go with the state. And the
Can
state
John
will-
do that as part of his inspections or no?
Absolutely.
He's a certified?
If he's certified, if he gets certified, he can do it. I don't
talked
care.
to him. He
Well,
said
that
he
seems
could
like
do
a
it.
good
Yeah, that's probably the
match
easiest
for
way of
his
doing it.
Well, I
skills.
think we need to do what we need to do.
I said, for me, the only thing you paid me to protect your water system, that's my job. I'm licensed to do that, and that's what I have to follow my regulations with the state, with the county. And this has been something that has been brought up several times. I'm asking you, if a computer system, you're worried about security. You should be also worried about security of your water system. Homeland
Is there
Security
a-
is really stepping things up also there, so you're gonna probably see a lot more go around that with securing of the wells, fenced-in areas. You're gonna see stuff change.
So there surely is a sample letter if other municipalities are all required to do this. There must be a boilerplate letter.
John Fenton has
John
everything,
has it?
has
Okay.
the whole thing.
Well, then that's what we need to
right,
do.
All
I'll talk to
updated.
John next week, and we'll get going with it. But I'm gonna have Pete Sotero and Ian take a look at that. I think Ian did take a look
Please.
at that.
I think I looked at the letter that
Yeah.
John was proposing to send
Right.
out, but
Yeah.
I'll look at it, yeah.
All right, we'll get going on it.
Thank you, thank you. It's just, like I said, I'm trying to protect you guys, so.
Thank you, Marco.
Okay, any other
The problem I
questions?
see with the water companies, we could never afford to fix it.
What was that?
I don't think, the water company, we could never afford to fix it.
The backflow preventer?
No, our water system.
To fix our water system.
Oh, you mean all the galvanized pipe
Correct.
turned, yeah, well,
That's
Yeah.
never gonna, we could never
Well-
afford to
We have
do.
nothing that's failing now, we're
Well, yeah,
looking
but it's
for,
gonna fail, you know.
you're gonna
it's only a
fail.
matter of
Things
time.
always fail.
You
And
don't have a fire rated system, there's
No.
issues with it, you know, I put a $20,000 sprinkler system in, it doesn't work, because it's just ridiculous.
that was
In
the
the
code.
same-
That's the code. That's
You're
right.
It's a code.
but we've
Same.
been Band-Aiding this, is my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong. We just wait till it breaks and then we fix. And
Well,
we
that's what you-
patch and Band-Aid and patch
that's-
and Band-Aid. We bring it up to speed as the problem.
That's what you do in almost every water system. As they break, you do repairs.
Yeah.
Now, to upgrade into a fire-rated system, it would have to be a complete overhaul. I mean, it's a major, mains would have to change. You're looking at 12-inch or better. You're looking at bigger pumps, your fire pumps in the house, in the pump houses. It's a totally different animal. Now, you really don't see that in any rural areas.
Nobody's got the money for that.
No,
I mean,
you
we're
only
all
s-
facing it.
You would
but-
see that
Yeah.
more in a larger city. And in a larger city, they're already halfway
Well,
or
Millerton did
90%
it.
there anyway.
Millerton did it. They got it.
Millerton is not a fire-rated system.
Yeah, but they upgraded their system.
No, they didn't. To mains, no.
Yeah, they did.
I beg to differ on that. They did not upgrade their mains. They did not upgrade their mains. They may have upgraded certain sections of their mains. Their distribution system has not been redone.
Okay.
Speaking of water department and water billing, who is going to be doing our water billing? I mean, I think we need to go on.
I talked to a woman the other day that's going to let me know next day or two, who does Millerton's, that Karen McLaughlin. So I spoke to her the other day. She could let me know if she can do it. She's already trained. She's ready to go.
Well, could we see something about her?
Yep. I just called her the other day.
Because we need to get something in place before
Right.
the next quarterly billing has to go out in April.
We're upgrading the system now as we speak with tie sales. That's being done. And then they're moving the meter thing upstairs with its own computer. That'll be done hopefully next week.
So BAS is going to be updated, the software, it's going to be compatible with the new systems.
Correct.
And what about, in tie sales, the Neptune is also being upgraded?
Yep.
Perfect. And is anything else changing with the meters?
What else got to change?
I just want to make sure I'm not surprised. Anything else changing on the system?
So the
way
billing's
we do
moving
business?
upstairs?
Yeah.
That's good to know.
We have an extra computer that's not being used, so we can move it upstairs.
Perfect. And follow-ups for the billing is going to be just like with Jane. I would just communicate with her. Is she working 8 hours a day?
No,
5 days a
that's what we
week?
got to figure out what she's going to work.
Okay. So when we get calls from customers, we know what to do.
Right.
I don't have access to it, so I don't know. And
Well, most calls go to you direct anyway, don't they?
just to fix them, but I can't read their bill. I don't have access to that anymore since the upgrades. Maybe I can get access to it again. We'll see
All
what
right.
happens.
Okay,
All right.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marco.
It's good to get your reports, Marco.
Any other committees?
I will mention, oh, go ahead, Arlene, if you're ready to roll.
Okay, good evening. Reporting as town historian. And just to bring up a little up-to-date, Will Tatum, who was our Dutchess County historian, is sure keeping us busy, so, which is good. That's all right with me. So let me tell you that at this point, the book Democracy in Dutchess, which is that publication that is being done by Poughkeepsie under the auspices of the Poughkeepsie Journal, cover the years 1713 to 2013. I did go to Millerton to a scanning session and brought what I could bring, which was not too much, because I tried to use some Amenia Historical Society pictures, but the Society and the President and the archives especially do not want to get involved in this particular project. So I had to just use what I had, so I hope other people went. It wasn't a good day to do it, but there were various sites around the county that scanned pictures, so I really don't know what they are going to put in our section. I know Wayne was there, he had a picture or two, but on the other hand, I did the best I could, people, and I will continue to do so, and I will continue to work with Will Tatum. The Historical Society has advised me that they're really not interested in the tourism. And tourism is a part of this program that is being, developed by him, under the auspices of the county. When there was no historian for the county, I understand that Mary Kay Verba of the Dutchess County Tourism was very helpful in trying to keep, things alive in the history field. But anyway, so there was a time, the time for getting pictures to them to be scanned was shortened, so that was another factor. I also attended a meeting of the Dutchess County Historical Society and historians and historical societies. This was a quarterly meeting. This is the type of schedule he's setting up for those of us in those particular categories. That was on February 17th at Locust Grove. Again, the tourism aspect apparently is holding up, you know, the Amenia Historical Society from attending, but I will attend, unless I can't. I will attend his meetings and program and whatever comes out of his office, and I did mention something to Bill that, about, you know, that town board, you may have to be more involved on this particular thing, but he's really, you know, he's just appointed, so he's got to get his programs in place. So there's a lot of emails, there's a lot of activity at this point, but there was a very good turnout for this meeting in February, very good. Eastern Dutchess was quite well represented, and those of us on Eastern Dutchess, he's trying to be sure that we get programs that, you know, going that relate to the Eastern Dutchess per se, you know. So there are Vivian LaRobediere from Dover. They just appointed a couple of historians down there. They haven't had anybody either, but she came up with a good idea. We'll see if we can get together on it. When it gets in more definitive position, I'll tell you about it. But I will work with the Eastern Dutchess historians and historical societies to the best of my ability too. Okay, to keep us in, you know. But there's also I went to a Dover historical meeting. That again was in an effort to get them going and to keep us together over on this side. So I said that I'll be glad to help them out with anything and that I can. On January 25th, going a little backwards here, there was a Pathway Through History meeting at the FDR Library, and that was chaired by Taylor Verba, and it was about the signage program that's being instituted, and I think we've talked about that before, across the regions, where signs saying path to history events or locations are such and such. Basically, this is Governor Como's program, and he started out for our region here saying that it would be signage originating along the thruway. But actually it's more than that. It's signage throughout the region for historic sites, historic events that we want to advertise and bring people to. You know, that is a part of having historical sites and events that bring other people besides our own selves, so to speak, to it. So I will be continue to follow up with that too. So National Travel and Tourism Week is May 4th through the May 12th. And at May 7th, they're going to have a brochure exchange at the Mid-Hudson Children's Museum. I'm going to go to that. I don't know how many brochures we have in this town. I know we have a couple left over from the Quadricentennial. And also, we have a great one on Wassaic and a great one, you know, on the town. But I don't know if there are other, I'll have to find out more about this. There may be other brochures out there that I'd be glad to bring out there and distribute and be the representative of the town of Amenia at this particular thing. Get information out on the town and the Eastern Dutchess and what have you. So this would be good exercise. This would keep me healthy, right? All this exercise. Good. That's what us old people need. We better lighten up a little bit here, right? Anyway, so it has been a very informative time. There was just an article in the Poughkeepsie Journal on county to celebrate the 300 years and outlining the kind of events they plan to have, which include a major parade across the county is one thing. So I would hope we could get involved in the organization. So I was going to have to rely on you guys to help out, or any other organizations that may think that this fits their programs. I can see the Boy Scouts doing a little bit here, maybe. They were always with us. All right, so, anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Discussions, we just need authorization to, bid out the painting outside of the town hall, which we did before, we have to redo it again. Lawn mowing bids this time, and then, tree trimming is part of the grant,
The streetscape,
streetscape part is,
the 25,000?
part of that. It's gonna use to be, trim some of these trees back on, Mechanic Street and,
That sounds like a good idea.
alright, and then,
What money?
we have 25,000 from there, we also have another 25,000 from
Rio,
Rio, whatever.
and we have more money in that tree.
Right, there's
Fund.
more money in the tree fund.
Yeah, if we can get some pruning done.
Yep, and then, I guess the enhancement committee is, I just put this in here, is, they're moving forward with the trees.
Yeah, we had, I guess Kevin had put together a memo from
Right.
January 30th that we need to
Okay.
okay, and whenever you're ready to go over that, I thought I would just read it and just get a sense from the town if that's where we
Maybe the
wanna.
next meeting we can do it.
Okay,
Okay?
yeah.
Good. That's all I've.
Bill, you're looking for those to be advertised now?
Yeah,
So
we'll
you
start
need to
out.
make a motion to authorize.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the, bid, the, advertising for bids for the painting outside of town hall, lawn mowing bids, tree trimming.
What specifically are we painting? Just the trim and the cupola?
Prune, I would call it pruning.
No, the painting.
Oh,
That's all there is trim.
But the cupola
Sure.
needs to be repaired, not just painted. Because I think there's rotted wood there, so we should include repair and paint.
Yeah, last year.
Because I know there's a leak underneath it, for one thing.
Last year, I thought we
did bid it out.
did bid it out,
Right, but we ran out of time.
yeah, so I think we should use the same specs as before.
Sure.
I thought we got some good prices back
Yeah.
then.
Okay.
So I have somebody making a motion. I need a second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolutions, transfer of funds.
We're keeping the same specs, Bill, as lawn mowing?
No, I'm gonna go over them because there's gonna be some changes.
Okay, so then once I get
I
all
wanted
three
to add
bids.
the little park in Wausau, not the park, but did we have an issue with that,
The Memorial Park?
no, where the
Circle?
sign is by the rail,
Oh, are you talking about the little trail, whether that gets mowed?
correct, it doesn't get mowed.
Pauling Corp is gonna do that, and we have plans for improving that little park there with our
Not the
enhancement
park, but
committee.
the path to the
Pathway.
ball
Oh,
field.
the path
That
goes,
doesn't get mowed or
N-
trimmed anyway.
right.
So then that
Oh, you
little,
wanna try and,
then you have that sign, the bill, not the sign, whatever,
Yeah.
and that didn't get trimmed. That was an issue last year, I believe.
well, the Welcome to Wausau sign,
No,
or the little
the-
sign that says
By
the
the rail
park?
track, by the
Yeah.
railroad track.
Yeah,
there's a
it's
sign
just
that says-
hanging there,
Right,
it's just sitting there.
right.
It needs to be installed, but I would think our highway guys could do that, or something. It's just sitting
Right.
there.
That's the only thing I was gonna add, is that path.
To their
To the
bid specs? You know, it doesn't need to be mowed all the
No,
time.
just trimmed.
It just needs to be maintained, yeah.
Maintained or trimmed
Okay.
a couple times in the summer, that's all.
Yep, yep.
That was a
Weed
major
whacked.
complaint of the people,
Yeah, it's a mess.
it's a mess.
It's a mess.
Now, last year you had two separate parts to the bid, so we'll
Right.
meet
Right, we'll meet you
tomorrow
on
and
Monday,
then, okay.
and we'll go over the bids.
So do you know how to describe that? Rail trail?
He's gonna give me the description and I'll
Okay.
just add it right in.
Okay.
Let's see, transfer of funds, resolution number
10.
10 of 2013. Transfer of funds, February 28, 2013, whereas the town board has the authority to transfer funds when necessary and unanticipated to amend the budget, and whereas the town budget line 14404.6 engineers requires an increase in the amount of $1462.50 for the purpose of engineer services for Morris Associates PLLC for Lavelle Road, And whereas the town budget line 83104.6.1.00 requires a decrease in the amount of $1462.50. And whereas the town budget line 75504.1 celebrations requires an increase in the amount of $3,000 for the purpose of community fireworks sponsored by Amenia Fire Company. And whereas the town budget line 12201.1 requires a decrease in the amount of $3,000. And whereas the town budget line 81604.1 refuge garbage requires an increase in the amount of $1548 for the purpose of refunding Royal Carding Services for 387 tickets at $4 a ticket. And whereas the town budget line 19004.1.49 requires a decrease in the amount of $1548. And now therefore be resolved that the town board authorize the transfer of necessary budget lines to proceed the transaction. I'll make that motion.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Would you,
Public comments over.
no, this is not a comment. I'd just like for you to go through this a little slower so
Okay.
that I can keep up with what you're transferring from.
Seconded by,
Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Councilwoman Perotti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle?
Yes.
Councilman Haas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reamer?
Yes.
Supervisor Flood?
yes,
Motion carries.
that's the only one we have. Supervisor's report, we met.
Excuse me, is Ian here for a reason?
We have an executive session.
Oh, with that, with
Yep.
these, okay. Just want to make sure we didn't leave you out.
You want to just sign that?
Couple things, the new employee handbook is done, copies are done, you'll be receiving, did you have them, Dawn,
got
in the
'em.
clerk's office?
They're not available in the clerk's office. If you want to leave me
Mary's-
some extra, Mary's been handing them
Right,
out.
Mary's, you have to sign, all the employees have to sign that they received it, and we have to put that on record, that you have received the, new employee handbook, which is done. We met, when did we meet, Monday or Tuesday?
Monday.
Monday, we met with the, some contractors in the highway department and the board. And this is the, proposed highway garage, the new highway garage, which we are gonna start speccing in the next few weeks, right, we're working on now.
Yes.
I know John Fenton is, working on the specs, this one is proposed by a company out of, Pennsylvania.
Lancaster.
So it's, the process has started. This is actually, the doors are wrong, so it's only gonna be 5 doors. So the, right where it is. Nope, we're all set. The,
It's the garage we're replacing. Not the salt shed.
well, the existing garage is falling down. Well, no, it's actually coming apart. So at this point, it has to be. Well, it doesn't. So at this point, the engineers have been there, we've had it studied and restudied and studied again.
Well, you know, all the stormwater, I mean, a
Right,
lot of
stormwater
things-
has to be dealt with.
Everything has to be managed, the stormwater, the separation of, if there's any oil, all of that has to be addressed. It's not, I mean, it's making it better, certainly than what it is. And, we went to look at a building, that would be similar to ours, and I was quite impressed with it, you know, I have to say. It's, looks like it's gonna work, and John and I are working on the specs.
Yep.
We'll be meeting tomorrow to get the specs up on.
That's all I've got. Town board comments?
I'd just like to mention that we met with the enhancement committee and we had very nice planting plans provided by Anna for this year's barrels and for Fountain Square. Tony is doing, our newest enhancement committee member is doing 20 to 30 geranium cuttings to help reduce the cost and extend our plantings. We're gonna be incorporating perennials with the annuals this year. So that'll be a more in-ground, as well as the planters, and again, pulling them more to the center of town for a bigger bang with the annuals. We do need the okay from the streetscape ideas that were presented, and we'll do that at the next meeting. We are looking for ideas for planting trees in the hamlet, so if you have some ideas, let us know, because there is funds still available for trees, and we'd like to do that in the fall. I don't think we'll get them in time for spring.
I have one more thing. I signed your thing for the dance program.
Oh, yes,
today.
where is that?
We sent it right back to Mike,
Okay,
so he got
you
that.
scanned it, and I
Yeah.
think it has to be an original.
Well, he said scan it back to him, so we did.
Okay,
He's coming here Monday.
all right,
So,
yeah,
okay.
that's the backup plan.
All right, so if he shows.
That's great.
Just one more. I did receive a call from the director of the Main Street Grant Funds. I guess Mr. Patel has made a complaint. So
Who did?
Mr. Patel.
Oh, we didn't select his.
Right.
Okay.
So I know Mike. I talked to Mike today about it. He's got to send a letter to them.
Yep.
That's outlining what was done and how it was handled.
Yeah, the criteria we
The
used.
criteria you used. So that has to be done. That's it.
I'll also mention that Mark went to the CAC, the round table at the Farm and Home Center, and it was a very good discussion of all the CACs all over the county, and they're doing amazing things. And he outlined the 4 or 5 projects that our CAC has been involved in. So just wanted to let you know that he's out there connecting with the other ones. They're building trails, they're doing amazing things, that they're all over the county, and we're doing good things too, but it was very inspiring.
Are you in charge of getting the paintings up? The paintings are.
No, that's Cindy.
No.
She's
We
done it
did that with
Snow.
all.
the
Did it?
Chris Snow.
Chris Snow.
Okay.
Did
Cindy.
the artwork. Cindy Snow.
She's the Harlem Valley artist.
Right. So they have a select group of artists that hung paintings and artwork in the hallways. It looks great.
Yeah, it does, it really looks nice.
So I think they're gonna change it every 90 days or so. They're gonna come in and change it, and then I think they're gonna have a public open house and look at the art, so on and so forth. With wine.
And I would just say, the Peter Cascone idea, I think, is a different event than what I had originally envisioned. I thought it was more of a showcase of our local talent rather than bringing in outside bands. So I think there's still room for the kind of event that that I had in mind. And I think there's a lot of interest, because there's a lot of kids who have garage bands and all-girls bands and all kinds of things happening in their backyard. But I think would be a perfect venue for our auditorium and gym. So I'm going to be looking for somebody to spearhead that kind of event. It could be a fundraiser, it could just be for free. I mean, it really,
I think you
Would
talk
be
to Peter, I
great.
think he wants to do it.
but a different type of, it's
Yep.
not the.
We had talked about that, having like a battle of the bands for local bands.
Yeah, where it's not
right.
so high
Correct.
end. Yeah,
He's open to that.
good. So,
Bill? I think the pictures are great out there, that's true, but remember I took down most of my things there along the way, so, because I don't think you can have these nice pictures up above and then, other things underneath them on the little shelves, which you said are gonna come down. So, but I would appreciate if there was some place that I could display some of these. There's such great pictures that I've accumulated, and I know we're on the same page with this, but I don't want you to forget.
I won't forget you.
All right.
God forbid. I won't forget you. Anybody else?
I think we need to talk about or decide what we're going to do about the summer recreation, if we're going to go ahead and hire somebody so she can get started. It takes a lot of planning, and the planning needs to start now. And Kathleen Howard has done a wonderful job in the past and would like to do it for this summer.
I agree. I think there's no one better than Kathleen Howard. Personally, she's got the experience. She has the training. She's done it very, very well. the whole program really rests on her abilities, it seems to me.
Sure, I have no problem. I'll make the motion, we hire Kathleen.
I'll second.
Don't we need to appropriate the money first
Well, I
to?
think
we
there's
do
the
have to.
We
same
have the
amount
money.
that's, she hasn't asked for any
Well, it
greater,
is-
right?
We're okay. I think we have to adjust the money, there's no question around.
Oh.
Because we took her, because she left, we took her
Oh.
money and put it into this
Oh,
rec department, so we have to,
figure out how we're gonna pay her.
well, we can deal with that. I've got some other funds that we can deal with.
Then I
We can
would
move,
suggest that we
right.
pay her the same that we have in the past,
Right.
at the same rate.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're under the gun at this point.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, that's why I thought we better hire her.
Okay.
Are we gonna talk
Uh,
about the boiler also? I know we don't have probably time,
I did
but,
send, the report from the insurance company,
yep,
because there was a question about the boilers. One, this is the wrong, by the way. We have two boilers in the building. One is larger, one is smaller. The larger one has been decommissioned. It needs to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Disconnected, I guess that's what that's what we're looking at. But what we're trying to do, we are trying to do with Darlene, and I talked to Albany, a Troy boiler, they've been here a couple times. I called them again the other day, they're gonna come back down and look at these things again. These boilers are originally coal and wood boilers that have been converted to oil burners, to oil. So in the plan to do the new heating and air, heating system in the building, one boiler may be retrofitted. That's what they're looking at.
The smaller one.
The smaller of the two will be retrofitted and brought up to speed. The other one we talked about is decommissioning it and taking it out, maybe.
mhm.
That's an option.
Do we have to have a backup boiler, or is that not necessary?
You have to have a backup
Okay.
boiler. So, Troy Boiler said at this point, it's, the boiler runs like, from my understanding, like $250,000 to buy a new
One.
boiler. One.
And reconditioning the other one is gonna be how much?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I'm gonna say 5 to 10,000. Is that ballpark? Is that what it was? You know what? I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I think it was more than that.
Maybe more than that.
So we need to get estimates and find
Correct.
out what we've
Well,
got.
there's only a few people that work on these things.
Okay.
Because they're so big.
Alright.
The Troy boiler said the other day, they're gonna come down and look at is go to a gas boiler, but that's a whole nother, propane, that's a whole nother thing that we had talked about, but it wasn't an option or whatever, so Harkness is working on all this stuff. I called a couple other companies to come down and take a look at them and see where we are, so that's where we're at.
We're just gonna limp through the spring and.
Yeah, we use about 80 gallons of fuel a day, about just under 500 gallons a week. So we're still in the ballpark figures where we have been with the fuel. Obviously, the fuel's going up, but that's, we haven't spent any money this year on fuel as of yet. Last year we paid.
So are we gonna get some savings by, over a time? I guess the cost is gonna be it's gonna take us a
But
long time
what we really need
to
is a
amortize
heating
that.
and cooling system.
Correct.
Because, summer's coming, and what we've been doing is the small air conditioners. And I know we did talk about retrofitting the cooling systems that we have here, but I know that was a pretty expensive proposition.
Well, yeah, Harkness talked about, we do have ductwork, so I think he's trying to work that in. We talked
Right.
about using the ductwork for,
Now,
If
did
you-
we get a final
We don't have-
recommendation from him?
no, we do
Not
not.
yet. Should be soon. I got an email from him the other day that he's working on it. Because he was waiting for the electrical upgrade
Oh, I
on
see
the
what we
kitchen.
have, yeah.
So we just told him to figure
Because
400
we
amp
really
service.
need to look at the whole picture, as the heating and cooling, especially if we're gonna use some of the existing equipment that we have.
Well, at some point, there was a forced air system in this building. There's ductwork on the second floor and on the first floor. If you look in the corners of the rooms, you can see where the chases are,
Mhm.
which they found. The auditorium does have an air handler in the attic, which he found. There's also something in the attic of this thing that's a fresh air ventilation system. There's an 8-foot hole in the roof that sucks fresh air into this system. But with the school system through these radiators, that's how it worked. So the what they're proposing to do is split. When you turn the heat on here, you heat the whole building. It's a one
No
loop system.
zones,
There's
right.
no zones.
Right.
There's two zones for both floors, the auditorium and the gym would be all split into separate. And then if we need the backup boiler, then you would have to turn the whole building on.
Okay.
So that would
It's
be.
not a big deal, but yeah,
Right.
the one boiler would be fitted out to be in zones.
That's what we're doing now. We only use one boiler.
Okay.
So we'll see, they're the experts on this thing.
No, that Troy company is the one who came here originally, right?
Correct.
Yes.
And they're gonna
They've been here since?
I talked to them again the other day.
Uh-huh.
Their salesperson in Harkins will speak.
Okay,
They're gonna talk,
okay.
so they can get
Yeah.
their stuff together.
Coordination of the
Right.
fuel oil, the diesel or the fuel oil, propane, and, future geothermal. All of that has to be coordinated.
Together,
in
and the solar.
one-
Yeah, aren't we gonna try and get a company to rent the,
Well, that's what they do,
Roof
because we're not
space?
allowed to take the tax advantage, the tax break. A private company puts up the
solar?
solar,
Yeah,
you buy the electric from them.
Right.
They get the break. We get a reduced rate,
yeah,
they get a break.
That
So
seems
actually,
fine.
we could be in here to net zero cost,
yeah,
close to it.
right.
Because our fuel costs will go down, our electric costs are gonna go up a little bit, and it should offset it.
Okay. So it doesn't save us anything, it doesn't gain us anything, other than we're off the grid,
We're off the grid.
right?
But we will have a cooling system also to cool the building. Then you're gonna deal with the windows, that's a whole nother story. There's 198 windows in this building.
Oh my God.
So, and the school district put the cheapest windows that you could possibly buy in this thing, so.
You have to do a lot of concerts to
Right.
get those.
A lot of concerts.
You better sell a lot of beer.
From his
Oh
kitchen.
my gosh.
His kitchen.
Right, you better start making it now.
The other thing I wanted to bring up, the town board with regret is accepting the resignation of Charlene Pollinger as the Recreation Commission. She's spent many years on that and done a lot of work, and we appreciate her service.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlene.
To accept it, I'll make a motion that we accept her resignation
I'll second that
regretfully.
motion.
And a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna adjourn the regular meeting. I need a motion
No.
to.
Enter executive session. We don't adjourn the regular meeting.
Enter into executive session, that's all.
Okay, we're gonna.
Are we going to appoint someone to the Recreation
You wanna
Commission?
do it now? Sure.
Actually, don't we have public comment, don't we? Oh.
No.
we didn't.
I'd make the motion, but I don't think I can pronounce his last name.
Lonju?
Lonju. I make a motion that we appoint Rick Lonju to the Recreation Commission, the one open seat.
I'll second that motion.
A roll call, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And I also would mention, thank you very much, Tom, for all your service to the town of Amenia and the recreation program.
Yeah.
Now, did you want to, I think we need to authorize Dawn to advertise for the new opening
For the rec,
on the Recreation Commission?
Make that motion.
Yes.
Need a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay,
So we'll have that for next month.
right,
Tom's position carries through March 31st.
okay.
Now, do you want that motion? To enter into executive session?
Correct.
I
We're
have
going to go to
second on
executive
that?
session to discuss
second
some legal matters and some matters with our attorney, the attorney from Pauling.